Hi, boys and girls. We're back with Hank the Cowdog, Chapter 9, The Mysterious Ivory Dog Bar. I dived into the tunnel and wiggled my way through to the other side. Then I held my breath and listened. The pickup came down the alley. It slowed, then sped up, and kept on going. I had dodged another bullet. My sister wouldn't have been too proud of me if I'd got her kids thrown in the dog pound. The pups came running up to me, jumping up and down, yipping, licking me on the face. You know how pups do. They were all excited. "Oh boy, Uncle Hank," said Roscoe. "Hey, was that Hank the Cowdog?" "Oh boy, Uncle Hank," said Roscoe, "that was the funnest thing you've ever heard." "Yeah," said Spot, "we like being cowdogs. I can't wait to tell Mom." "Hey, wait a minute. Hold it right there, son. Some things tells me we'd best keep our adventures to ourselves. Your Ma might take a dim view of it. Mum's the word." They all grinned and nodded, and for the next 15 minutes they went around whispering, "Mum's the word." Not long after we got back, Maggie came out of the doghouse. Said she'd had a nice long nap and her head was feeling some better. She asked what we'd done while she was asleep, and I said, "Oh, nothing much. We had a little snack and did some singing." She stared at me and kind of twisted her head to the side. "Really? Singing?" "Well, I must say that surprises me." I must say she'd have been even more surprised if she'd known where and how we were singing and to whom, but what she didn't know wasn't hurting her. "You've got some very talented children," I said. "Yes, sir, they sure do a good job of singing, especially them gals." "Well, thank you, Henry, I confess. Well, I just didn't think you cared about culture and refinement. Maybe I underestimated you." "It's entirely possible, Meg. I mean, just because I've been trained to be a dangerous weapon doesn't mean I can't appreciate beautiful music and poetry and that other stuff." The kids were pretty well tuckered out after the garbage patrol and the cat episode, and they stretched out in the yard and took naps in the sun. But every now and then April and Barbara would sit up and go to scratching. Maggie noticed, and about the third time it happened, she went over to check it out. "Barbara, what are you doing? April, why are you scratching? You know that's not ladylike." For some reason, the girls looked at me. "Oh, nothing, Mom," said April. "We just—" Maggie moved closer, squinted her eyes, and studied Barbara's hair. She gasped, "Fleas!" Then April started scratching her ear. "You too? Wait, where?" For some reason, she looked in my direction. Why was everybody staring at me? I mean, anyone can catch fleas from a bunch of old scroungy cats, but is that my fault? Mag turned back to Barbara. "And furthermore, young lady, you smell like a dead fish. What on earth have you girls been doing?" Well, they started crying. I guess they'd never had fleas before and thought it was something horrible. I couldn't hear all of what was being said over there, but I had a suspicion that my nieces were spilling the beans. And I had another suspicion that a storm was fixing to strike Uncle Hank. Maggie gave the kids a severe lecture and sent them to bed in the middle of the afternoon. Then she came over to where I was counting my change, you might say, and trying to look as innocent as possible. "Listen, Maggie, let me explain. I thought—" No, I understand." "You do?" She gave me a sweet smile, which sort of surprised me. "The children talked you into taking them on a little romp." "Well—" "And you were too nice to say no." "Well, yes, but—" "And you told them to stay out of the garbage and to leave the cats alone, but they didn't." No, they didn't, Maggie. And so they've come home stinking covered with fleas, which is just what they deserve." "Well, Mag, I didn't want to— I mean, they're awful sweet kids." "But kids will be kids." Right, they sure will, but I hope you're not—" "Mad at you, Henry? Why would I be? How could I ever be mad at you?" "Oh, I see what you mean, Mag. You're right. How could you be mad at me?" Hee, I dodged another bullet. I kind of hated for the kids to catch all the blame, but what the heck? They were young. They would survive. Well, Mag asked me if I was hungry yet, and I said yes, as a matter of fact I was. She said that was great because she had a special meal for me. And now that the children are out of the way, we can have a quiet meal and talk about old times. As you can imagine, I was delighted to see Maggie in such good spirits. She brought me out some supper, said it was a new kind of dog food and she'd been saving it for a special occasion. It sure looked odd to me. Well, I shouldn't say odd because that sounds too critical, and I'd be the last guy on earth to criticize my sister's grub. It was just different. Where your ordinary run of the dog food is brown and shaped in kernels or biscuits, this stuff was pure white and shaped in a rectangle, more of a bar than a biscuit. Don't you see? Had a different smell, too. Where your co-op dog food will have the smell of stale grease, this new brand had kind of a perfumey smell. Mag brought a real pretty red dog bowl and set it in front of me, and then she dropped the bar of dog food into the bowl. It hit with a clunk. Hey, that looks great, sis. Oh, I think you'll like it, Henry. Sis, nobody rustles up grub like you. I mean, food just seems to taste better at your place. What do you call this recipe? There's the name right there on it. She pointed to the bar, and sure enough, it had a name on it. Huh. Ivory. Ivory, is that it? Uh-huh. Ivory dog bars. The children's just adore them. Well, by George, if my nieces and nephews say they're good, they're bound to be good. How do you eat this thing? I mean, when a guy's in town, he wants to do things proper. Yes, one does. Oh, just bite off a piece. And she started giggling. Chew it up. Sis, I can't tell you how glad I am to see you laughing again. I mean, that headache business really had me worried. It makes the whole trip worthwhile, seeing you laugh. Thank you, Henry. It's nice of you, too. Say so. Yeah, it's great. You know, it kind of reminds me of the time when you were down by the septic tank chasing a butterfly, as I recall. You remember that? I sure do, Henry. The butterfly landed on a weed out in that nasty green water. And you leaned out over the water. Yes, and you pushed me in, she laughed. I laughed too. Sure as heck did, boy. Did you hate that? And do you remember how we laughed about it? Go on with your supper, Henry. Yes, I sure do remember. Yeah, I took a big bite out of the dog bar and started chewing it up. Say, that stuff had a strange taste, real strange. Nothing at all like the co-op food. Sis was watching me. How do you like it? Huh? Oh, the dog bar? Hey, it's super, Mag. It really is. I swallowed the first bite. It's out of this world. That pleased her. I'm so glad you like it. I would have been crushed if you hadn't. Right, no, it's a little different, Mag, but you know me, I'm always anxious to try something different. How sweet. Well, take another bite and go on with your story. I bit off another hunk. Well, there you were in the sewer, up to your brisket, and I couldn't believe my eyes. A big bubble came out of my mouth. It grew, and then it popped. Mag was staring at me. Is everything wrong? Anything wrong? Did you see that? See what? That great big bubble that came out of my mouth. She laughed. Oh, Henry, you're such a tease. Just for a moment, I thought you were serious. Huh, did you really? Just for a moment, I thought I was serious too. Matter of fact, I could have sworn I saw a big bubble. How's the ivory dog bar? Oh, sis, this stuff is just... I swallowed the bite I had in my mouth. This stuff is really... I burped. I mean, it just snuck out. I couldn't stop it. Henry! Excuse me, Maggie, that's terrible manners. It is. It really is. Oh, well, I suppose that's just your way of showing how much you enjoy the meal. It is. It sure is. And thanks for being so... There was another bubble coming out of my mouth. It popped. Did you see that? She leaned over and patted me on the cheek. You big teaser. You can't fool me with that again. Now go on and eat and finish your story. To be truthful about it, I didn't want to go on and eat. I mean, I could have quit right there and been satisfied, but she was sitting in front of me, and I sure as heck didn't want her to think. Well, so I took another bite. Anyway, there you were out in the water, and we got to laughing. Yes, I remember, she said, but you know, it's odd that I don't remember the same way you do. I have a very clear recollection of you laughing while I stood in the water and cried. Now, isn't that, Henry? What is that on your mouth? Huh? I wiped a paw across my mouth and looked at it. Looks kind of like foam, don't it? By George, I believe it is foam. Foam, her eyes widened. Henry, you're foaming at the mouth. You don't like my supper. Now, Mag. You weren't telling me the truth. You hate my cooking. You always have. Oh, I'm a complete failure. Hey, listen, Mag, that foam don't mean a thing. Shucks, I foam at the mouth all the time. Lies, lies, you hate my cooking. No, Maggie, I love it, honest. She looked at me through tear-filled eyes. Then why haven't you finished the ivory dog bar? Because, well, here it goes, down the old hatch. I took the rest of the bar in my mouth, chewed it up, and swallowed the heck out of it. There, you see, sis, and you thought I didn't like. Ugh, all at once I felt sick, and I mean sick. My mouth foamed and dripped and drooled, and I could have sworn that I saw more and more of them bubbles. What were you saying? My head started to swim. I looked at Mag and thought I might toss my cookies right there. I was saying how delicious. What do you reckon they put in them dog bars? 'Cause boy, they sure are good. Oh, Henry, do you really mean that? You really liked it? Oh, I'm so thrilled. I'll serve it for breakfast tomorrow. Oh, so that's wonderful, Mag. Just wonderful, mercy. I got to go check on... Excuse me a minute. I didn't want to get sick in front of my sister, so I made a dash for the alley. By the way of the tunnel we had dug under the fence. I made it just in time. Out in the alley, I had to pitch my cookies. What came up was bubbles, hundreds of them, thousands of them, green uns, red uns, pink uns, more bubbles than I'd ever seen in my whole life. I was sitting there contemplating all those bubbles when I heard a pickup coming down the alley. It went past, screeched to a stop, and backed up. It was a white pickup with a wire cage in the back. The man inside stared at me, then got on his two-way radio. Mobile 13 to City Hall. Larry, this is Jimmy Joe. I got a code 3, man, a rabid dog in the alley behind the Greg's house. He's foaming at the mouth, Larry. Send me some help. I glanced around. I hadn't seen any rabid dog. In fact, it appeared to me that I was the only dog in the... Hey, that guy thought I had rabies. That's the end of Chapter 9. We'll be back with Chapter 10 soon.